Go ahead. Get the board meeting call to order. So we have a quorum present. Yes, sir. Next, I'd like to have a moment of silence, and I'll ask Danielle to do the Pledge of Allegiance, or lead us in the pledge.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is public. Do you have anybody that's signed up for public comment? This is the time to do so. If not, we'll move forward with the agenda. Next will be our recognitions. Let's pass it over to Jake. Jenny. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Is it Vice Chair Freeman?
Yes.
Okay, Vice Chairman Freeman, Mr. Frazier, Board of Directors and CARTA colleagues and the public. On Saturday, July 12th, one of our drivers drove the Dolly bus to the park where members of the CARTA team and community gathered under a massive oak tree to read books with the kids. During this event, driver David Tortorich went above and beyond his regular duties of driving the bus in a dependable and professional manner, but adding a creative and fun and engaging experience for the children and the families that were there in attendance. David brought a genuine enthusiasm to the event, wearing a pigeon hat inspired by the book, Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus, which proved to be a delight for the children and added a special touch to the overall experience. His positive attitude, warm interaction, and the commitment to making the event memorable helped create a welcoming atmosphere and demonstrated CARTA's dedication to community connection. David truly exemplified what it means to be an ambassador. David has been an employee with CARTA for almost 13 years in our fixed route department. He loves helping and serving people. And in his free time, he enjoys riding his bike and listening to music. And I know David doesn't have a lot of time because he works a lot for CARTA. We are lucky to have him as part of the CARTA team and would like to recognize him for August Ambassador Award.
Thank you. All right, so we're gonna get you over here. We're gonna try to grab a picture. Come on over. Congratulations. You didn't wear the hat though. Congratulations. Congratulations. We have certificate for you. You both hold that. Hold that. And we're gonna get your picture right.
Smile.
As well.
Okay, I'm great. One, big. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Really great job, David.
Next up on the agenda, we have the, I trust everyone's had a chance to review the minutes. And so if we can get a motion to approve the minutes from last month.
Next motion, we approve.
There's a motion in a second, all in favor? Aye. There's no opposed, so that passes. Next up, we have the staff reports. Get Brandon Meredith.
Yeah, if I may, come on up, Brandon. Vice Chair Freeman and Board of Directors. During my annual review last December, one of the feedback notes that I got from the board was looking for an opportunity to better know and understand who the management team is. And so, as you recall, we have instituted during the monthly board meetings that we'll have these staff reports from time to time and do a little bit of a deeper dive from each director's point of view. And so happy to reintroduce Brandon Meredith, our director of everything, outreach, communication, community outreach. And I just want to say that, this was from the prior year's budget, the first time that CARTA had been able to invest in a communications professional. And I hope that the board recognizes whether it's our presentations at the meeting or all of the outgoing social media stuff that we do, it's really thanks to Brandon and his team of folks. So this is an opportunity to hear from him directly, so I'll turn it over to Brandon.
Thank you. Good morning, Vice Chair Freeman, Mr. Frazier, Board of Directors, and CARTA staff. I'm pleased to update you this morning on our recent marketing and communications efforts. However, before I begin, I would like to point out that I'm not a one-person team. I'm not doing this all alone. I would like to acknowledge Savannah Ward behind me and thank her for her help keeping the ball rolling. Thank you, Savannah. Okay, let's start with social media. Social media channels continue to see a steady upward growth as we continue to post on a more frequent and strategic schedule. And as you can see by the numbers, we feel like this is paying off. Last week, we experienced a significant bump in our social media stats with a post about the devastating floods we experienced last week. The post recapped how CARTA was called upon by Hamilton County Emergency Management and East Ridge Fire Departments to help assist stranded residents, taking them to safety at nearby Brainerd Rec Center. The video that we posted showed the severity of the floodwaters and how CARTA employees rose to the occasion in a time of crisis. Obviously, people were fascinated by the video. We received over 43,000 views on Facebook for this video. And while we're happy that the attention the video received, we're mostly proud that we got the chance to show how CARTA can be a valued community partner. We've been very active in our community outreach efforts, especially with the Dolly Bus, and we continue to navigate the popularity and the high demand for the Dolly Bus. As you can see, let me get the video playing. It's a really cool video. As you can see, the Dolly Bus has definitely made its rounds in the past few months. We've been to such events as the Make Music Day. We did Story Time on the Bus, which is where the video is playing here. And then in August, just recently, we went to the Back to School Bash, which they tell me they had over 4,000 people attend. So we were super excited to get the bus there. We have a couple of upcoming events. We have the Bacon Festival. I'm not sure how the Dolly Bus fits in the Bacon Festival, but we'll see. And then we have Too Cute to Spook at Enterprise South. Our community efforts have also recently made their way to the Hamilton County Recovery Courts. And thanks to Mayor Womp and his decision to reinvest in CARTA, we are now able to offer free transportation for recovery court participants to and from courts with our CARTA Go services. The comms team recently met with the recovery court team and discussed our partnership and how CARTA will assist their attendees by giving them free rides, not only to and from the recovery court, but also on all fixed route buses. Savannah gave a nice demo on VIA and showed them how to book through our CARTA Go app. We provided route options for riders that don't live in the CARTA Go zone. And we came up with a FAQ sheet to not only help CARTA staff, but also to help the recovery court staff. The recovery court attendees should start using the service starting in September. I think what's happening there is the recovery court's moving from their downtown branch to the branch out up near Bonnie Oaks. So come September, we should see that program start. Okay, on the transit side, we had a new markup that went out on August the 17th. We have produced a new and updated transit guide, which this time around has a blue cover. The previous one had a red cover, so we wanted to distinguish both of those. And we have successfully hand-delivered these to over 20 of our partners around Chattanooga. We've also worked closely with our Chief Safety Officer, Mark Logan, to create CARTA's first customer code of conduct guide, which you will hear about in a few minutes. On July the 1st, CARTA brought the bus advertising program in-house, where the comms team is now managing and selling bus ads. And I'm happy to report they were almost sold out. And the fact that we're almost so sold out, we're currently looking at other ad placement options on the CARTA Go and Caravan vehicles.
We need more buses.
We do need more buses, 100% we do. We're also currently developing a new advertising media kits, and we also plan to create a dedicated webpage just for transit advertising. Just below there, you can see that we just signed 3 new contracts with EPB, Lumberjacks, and a brand new client, Messer Financial. So we're happy to see those numbers up on the board. Parking and shuttle, a quick shuttle update. We've been working closely with the leaders of the St. Elmo Neighborhood Association, brainstorming ideas on how we can increase ridership in route number 15, which is the St. Elmo shuttle. On screen, you'll see that we developed, with input from St. Elmo, a nice flyer with key information on the route, where it goes, and we've added a few local businesses as a points of interest on the map. The plan for St. Elmo, they had a plan to give this out to real estate agents, so when they try to sell houses, to use this as a selling tool. And it also will be handing these out to local businesses around the St. Elmo area. A quick parking update. We just wrapped up our marketing launch with the City Sticker pilot program with the city of Chattanooga, where we developed multiple social media posts and an FAQ aimed at alerting city sticker holders that they can now register for free parking credits. As you can see in the photo, we created custom signs to place at all the valid parking garages and lots, making it easier for people to identify which lots are participating in the program. Registration has just closed on the 25th, and all arrows point to a success with that program. In conjunction with the City Sticker launch, we've also updated our free and validated parking finder resource, which is on the CPA website. So we're currently adding new merchants on a weekly basis there. When the visitors go to the site, there's a form at the bottom of the page. Like, right, does it work? Top right, there's a form where the visitors can actually make suggestions on free and validated parking spots. So if anybody here knows of any free and validated parking areas and spots in downtown, please send them our way. Lastly, we are very excited to have launched a new Mox Express Saturday route, which now goes down Main Street and will take students to all the hot spots from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. Key stops on the routes include places like Food City, Stir, Need Loves, Southside Pizza, and what I'm told is a student favorite, Shady's. I haven't been. Sounds good. We've also worked closely with the UTC marketing team to help develop a blog article, an updated map for the UTC website, and to boost overall awareness of the new service. We can watch this quick video that UTC did, which is nice. Scrappy Mock, is he still called Scrappy Mock? Yes, thank you. Very good. Let me also add that what I think is our biggest win with the UTC program right now is we've made some strides organically with the students. As you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, there's a screenshot from Instagram. This happens to be from my daughter, who's a senior at UTC. And the screenshot, I know you can't read it, but the screenshot says, quote, "The Mox Express is the move this year," with 3 smiley faces. I'm going to take that as a win for us. So we're happy to see that. Our future plans for comms and marketing will include adding new technology to distribute content to all employees on our monitors located in our drivers' break rooms and also 12th Street and other locations. We also want to utilize our new email established for drivers and then creating a quarterly newsletter with department updates. That concludes my report. I'm happy to take any questions. Yes, sir.
Brandon, I'm wondering, I see your future plans up there, but I don't see anything relating to the 130th anniversary of the incline.
We actually just met on that the other day about it. Charles brought that to my attention, and it's in November.
Yes.
Yeah, and I just spoke with Mr. Higgins over there, and we're gonna set a time to talk about that very soon. But we do plan on having plans. Good ones at that.
Okay.
I just
Coming up quick.
coming up quick. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
If it would please the board, we could bring back the draft celebration plans to next month's meeting. They're pretty grand, so we'll bring a presentation to the board if that works.
I would.
Happy to do
Great.
so.
I know you didn't list all of the places the Valley Bus has been, but
Yeah.
it also, come to the ADA celebration. It had lots of visitors who,
Yeah.
got on there
Yeah.
and experienced it as well.
That's right, we did.
So,
Good, good.
You shared that video, the Dolly video they were showing our oriented post with Dolly herself. You never-
Have I posted-
You never know. What she's gonna do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we can definitely at Dolly next time we post that video, right?
I just want to thank you and the team. This is a night and day shift from previous Carta communication. The slide specifically where you have the St. Elmo and the waypoints for
Right.
parking. Just any ways that we can make our amenities and our services easier to navigate, easier to find, easier to communicate. Like, I would love to see that St. Elmo view for like every fixed route at a certain point of highlighting, especially for our businesses, like, here's all the local restaurants along this route. Here's all our breweries. Here's, everything that Chattanooga has to offer. And to sell out ad space, I mean, also night and day from, so
Yeah.
that is huge. So
Yeah.
thank you so much. And especially from somebody that's got kids of all ages, Carta is showing up in their feeds and
Yeah, good.
can't say that that's ever happened
Yeah,
before.
exactly. Good. It's a win,
Yeah.
for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll just second that. Thanks, Brandon, for
Yeah.
the update and just for what you and your team are doing.
Yeah, thank you for the time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Charles, I'll kick it over to you for your update.
All right, okay, good morning, Vice Chair Freeman, members of the board, fellow Carta colleagues and members of the public. Happy to share a few updates with you. So first up is Read and Ride. I am thrilled to report a couple of very significant milestones for our Read and Ride program. And just as a quick reminder for everyone, Read and Ride started as a pilot program. The way it works is students, K through 12, can get registered for the program at the public library. Students 11 and under are able to show their pass and they can ride, and also a guardian can ride. So brother, sister, aunt, uncle. And then the kids 12 and over can ride fare free as well. And so the first milestone, we have officially surpassed 30,000 student trips since the program's launch last year. This is a level of success that really exceeded, I think, everyone's expectation, but it points to pent-up demand for the service. So we're really happy about this. But the second milestone is equally impressive. Last month, we had on a single day over 200 student trips on a single weekday, so on a Tuesday, right? And so what we're starting to do is we're really drilling down into the data and understanding what days of the week, what routes are being ridden, which is hugely important. And this partnership started with the Chattanooga Public Library, but it has now expanded to include representative from Hamilton County Schools and Chattanooga 2.0. Both of those organizations are really identifying ways for us to better inform students and parents alike about the program. And let me just give one shout out here to Secretary Reeves, who's not here today, but on our last transit tour, we were with the team and Secretary Reeves and I got to meet some of the teachers, and we were hearing straight back from the teachers that they didn't hear about the program at all. We were surprised by that. And so Secretary Reeves really challenged us to come up with a fix for that. On the right-hand side of the screen here, and again, I want to give shout out to Savannah Ward on the comms team, but to what you were just talking about, Director Evatt, we've created individual maps for every school that's within a specific route. And so now at each school, during the orientation process, when school was getting started, we went out and had individual handouts. And so we're able to talk to the teachers directly, the students directly at those schools, then they get the map of the routes that are relevant to them. And so we're really hopeful to see this program continue to grow. Any questions on the Read and Ride before I move on?
Just another quick comment. If anybody has kids and hasn't used this, the libraries embrace this in such a fun way. When you sign up, your kid picks what color lanyard they want. they make a whole kind of presentation about presenting. It's just so fun and rewarding, and my stepdaughter ate it up and loved it, so.
Yeah.
Jump in on it.
That's good feedback. Thank you for that. Moving on, an update for the Incline Railway. So we were thrilled to celebrate the successful reopening finally of the Incline Railway following the December 7th fire on Lookout Mountain. And I want to give another shout out to our communications team who orchestrated the week before we reopened Media Day, where we had all of the local media outlets come and experience the incline firsthand. And let me thank all of the board members who were there that day to celebrate with us. It was not just board members. Up in the bottom right-hand corner, you could see Councilwoman Rakita Dotley was there to help us celebrate from District 7. And then we had several members from the Community Association of Historic St. Elmo help us for this important milestone. And we have resumed now our regional marketing efforts to get the word out outside of Tennessee. But really, it was a very affordable way for us to just work with the local news media to let Chattanoogan's know that we were back open for business. The Incline has been operating smoothly with encouraging ridership numbers. We did miss a significant portion of that summer season, but we still are excited. We've had good ridership and folks are definitely excited to be here. Just some of the pictures up there at the top left, those are the media folks as they were riding up the front. I do want to just share, Director Sandifer was there. And as I was getting off, she was like, wow, it's really steep up here. And so like it's exciting to be up there, and it was exciting to have all of the media folks there on that day. And so enjoy those pictures, and we're happy to be open. Bottom left is, I was happy to take the entire Incline team for just a celebratory lunch. Director Nye joined me with with everybody. We went to Coyote restaurant over there. And so we're really happy to be back in business. Happy about that. Moving on, an announcement for you about our insurance claim. We have submitted all of our documentation for both property damage and business interruption, which is the lost revenue. We have already received just around $900,000 reimbursement for the property claim itself. We're still working through some additional expenses that the insurance company has questions about. We're not concerned about receiving all of that funding. And then we have just finally submitted our final documents for the business interruption service. And so that lost revenue analysis is underway. And we will be bringing that back to the board as that gets finalized, and we report back to you what that final number looks like. We believe it's going to be right around $2.5 million of lost revenue, and so we'll let you know as that move forward. Also, an announcement. It's bittersweet, but Director Higgins, if you would just stand for a moment, I want to announce that our Incline Director Matthew Higgins will formally retire from his role as the Incline Director. But before we have any need for handkerchiefs or tears or anything like that, I would like you to know, you can sit down, Matthew. We will be retaining Matthew in the form of an independent contractor. Frankly, board members and Director Nye, if you wanted to make any comments on this, CARTA and the Incline is such a unique asset that while we certainly respect Matthew's time to retire, we do need his expertise as we navigate the next few years. We've got a couple of big projects, the dry pipe system that we need to get designed and installed, which will help mitigate future fires. The air conditioning, which won't be on board the vehicles, it'll be off the vehicles, but cools the vehicles, needs to be designed and implemented. And so we really do need his expertise. You'll see in the procurement report today that Annie presents to you the formal notification that I am moving forward on this agreement. So that'll come to you today shortly. And in the meantime, what I'd like to make sure that I'm clear about is our very capable Assistant Director, Incline, Houston Duke. We are going to be providing Houston with management training, and then also very important for this role, technical safety training, which is required by the State Safety Oversight Office. And so we will be working with Houston on those things. and making sure that he has all of those required certification, should he choose at some point to want to pursue the director position, and we're supportive of that. And then finally, just a couple of notes here, and then I open it up for questions. On the radar of already in play, it's that air conditioning of the vehicles. It'll be an off vehicle system, and then the rail and dry pipe vetting out that design and installation of that. So before I go on there, let me pause for any questions that anybody might have or comments.
Charles, could you give us a timeline on when that air conditioning system might be operational? Have
Yeah, let me.
Phil said anything about?
Yeah, so let me get we've reported on this before, but I think it's good to repeat. We have, and Matthew, if you want to comment, let me know. So the manufacturer of the vehicles themselves invested almost $50,000 pro bono work, so they didn't bill us, helping us like try to navigate, is there any way to get an air conditioning unit that would be effective on board the vehicles? And really 6 ways to Sunday, weight's not an issue, but it's actually cooling the vehicle effectively. There's not an effective way to do so on board, especially when you start to have to add on some sort of energy system and a fueling system. And so what they have agreed to do is continue to partner with us. And then what they fleshed out was a conceptual design where an off vehicle air conditioning unit, it's industrial, like you would find for airplanes, that will then, when the vehicle comes down and actually settles into the bottom station, we would connect into the vehicle and force, like once people are off, force like the cold air on there and cool it for the 7.5 minute ride up. And we believe that plus if you've been up there recently, the shading system that we've installed, our hope is to have that installed and complete by next season, next summer, by the time that we get going. What I would ask for in terms of some grace from the board is, as we get into the engineering and design of this and assess the cost of it, I just want to be able to bring back to the board, here's what we believe the situation to be, and give the board the opportunity to prioritize in case we need to move funding or anything like that.
I think you'll get zero pushback from the board, especially the ones that are in the upper left-hand picture that rode that day.
Yeah.
If you notice, my face is not in that picture for a reason, because I had prior experience of riding those cars and I knew how hot it was going to be. So I was waiting on you when you got back down to the bottom in the shade.
Yeah. Yeah, roger that, and thank you for that, and I
I'm very in support of you, but
I appreciate the board's support.
I want y'all to find out for yourself.
Yeah, I appreciate the board's support on this, and this is one of those things that board members, you'll recall. I mean, we're all, we're in the year 3 of Mayor Kelly's and the city's, bold new vision for public transit, and so you're all newly on the board. I'm the new CEO, and so these are things that we inherited, and we'll deal with it and prioritize. And thank you for that. I think you should have written up with us because I'm wearing a vest, so I'm in the bottom right wearing a vest, and I just want you to know, like, there was a whole sweat scene going on there, and like it was quite embarrassing. But any other questions on the incline? Okay, moving on. Thank you, board members, for that. Next, I want to just remind the board we've taken an important step in strengthening our community engagement by implementing our new rider advisory committee. And this committee is currently being managed expertly by our interim COO, Veronica Peebles, but being chaired by Director Evan. And we want to thank you very much for stepping up. And this is bringing together a diverse group of riders representing all areas of our system. Our inaugural meeting was a success. Our planning team delivered a presentation about our ongoing bus stop analysis, followed by some robust and honest conversations about what people are experiencing when they're riding the buses. I want to be clear that this was an introductory meeting, and we're really setting up to start to get valuable feedback from this group of public transit users. And we will continue to use their input to make service improvements. The strategy overall is to make sure that we have a robust rider feedback loop as we prepare to make changes to many things in our fixed route system. Establishing our performance standards, a new fare system, removing some bus stops, adding other new bus stops, the shelter designs when we start to invest in infrastructure, and ultimately when we start to make changes to the routes themselves. And this is a very important that we have this opportunity for people to give input before we make changes on these things. And our goal is to have upwards of 25 to 30 participants in the bigger picture. So we started with a small group, and so there's some pictures up here. And let me just turn it over to Director Evitt, and maybe just since you were the chair, you could give us some feedback on First Blush.
Oh, yeah, this was a fun time. I invite absolutely everybody to come hang out. I want to thank not only the riders that gave their time on a weeknight, but the staff, so many staff that showed up and participated. It was a really good dialogue back and forth of staff better understanding the riders, myself included, and then riders better understanding why things can't like immediately be fixed or changed, and some of the challenges on the staff side. So it was a fantastic dialogue. And at the end of the day, it was a great introductory meeting. We got to know a lot of these folks, and since I've already had a lot of people reach out that want to be a part of this, so I think that in terms of growing this body, and especially getting diverse perspectives from different parts of town, different routes, different use cases of whether it's for getting to a job or recreation or whatever it may be. I think that representation, and you kind of touched on, while this was an introductory meeting, we did get some early feedback about bus shelters, and honestly surprising feedback about what those may or may not need to look like in terms of some designs may feel a little claustrophobic. So actually some people have said they even preferred just the bench aspect. But I think we can find compromises where everybody feels comfortable, everybody feels safe. And it was really eye-opening. And again, shout out to all the staff, like couldn't have done it without the staff involvement, and to do that on a after hours time, that was awesome. So
yeah, two notes if I could, and then to open it up to the board for discussion. Number one of the things that we're going to bring to the board for your consideration is a bus stop infrastructure guideline. In other words, what are the attributes of our various stops, like how much ridership, what routes is it serving, what services are at that stop, what amenities should be there? Should there be a bench? Should there be a shelter? What's the design of that shelter? Should there be real-time information? So we're preparing to bring a proposal for what that policy looks like, and we'll want the input of this. So that's my first comment. That's how this should work. And then my second comment is, we talked a little bit about it at the executive committee meeting. Director Sandifer is on the Caravan Advisory Board, and she invited all board members to start to attend those. And so what I want to just share with, and I know that Director Evitt and Director Nye attended this month's Caravan meeting. What I'm hopeful for is that as the board members are engaged in these committees, that you're at the board level, you're starting to share what's working on those committee things, and we can make sure that they're being handled in a similar fashion, right? So I want to look for synergies there, and ask you to give me and staff direction on how do we make sure that all of this is happening, in the same fashion. So just give you that note and then open it up for any discussion that the board wanted to have on this item.
Yeah, this is, amazing. And I know that all the work that applies to something like that. Because I don't have much background in transportation, so I can talk from like a park perspective. We normally work with community engagement policy. So in transportation, did you have something along those lines? The example is the Park and Recreation Department created kind of like a community engagement policy that we sponsor. So it was a year that we worked with a group of neighbors and different people from different sectors. And at the end of the year, you have kind of like the guidelines to keep working forward and make decisions. So as an example, when you have a new park, you know how to engage with community and kind of like have the step by step. So kind of you can also like, that allows you to do it many times and kind of like refine it. So I can share the policy that we kind of worked through for over a year. It's kind of different, but I think that at the center is like the same, the same values of like a guide. And that was accepted by the council. So it was approved. So the city has an official community engagement policy. So I don't know in transportation, but I bet it's something similar. That kind of helps you to put the structure. And in this case, it's better because you have the people, and normally you start with, it's kind of like the chicken or the egg, but when you have the people, I think it's easier to build that.
Yeah, allow me to address that. So there's layers of rules that we have to follow when we take grants in. And so, for example, for Caravan, for the paratransit service, it's a federal requirement that we have this public feedback loop. And so there's that rule, right? Which is different than a policy. So we often, for the MPO level, and we have a representative from the MPO here, they have a public participation policy that they follow. We generally mimic that. But here's what I would offer to the board for your consideration. Please share the public participation policy that you've developed. And what this board has the ability to do is to create an overarching policy that would maybe be inclusive of all of our services. So that could be incline parking, shuttle, everything. And maybe the board could consider a structure for what you want to do for public engagement. So I'm happy to receive that and then bring back to the board a recommendation.
Yeah, that would be great. And that's, it reminded me of my first experience with Carta when I was a user and I saw the public engagement call. And I was so excited because I was like, they're gonna ask me about my experience and what is next. And I walk in and I saw all these maps, how things were gonna change and I was so excited. And then I asked like, when is this gonna happen? And it was like 5 years. I was like, so I think that's like kind of like the difference between like checking the box because you have to do it and the policy level, like how you are in a relationship with our clients or like our community. So yeah, we're happy to share that one. And it's already like approved by council. So it's like a really good, I think, anchor for what is next.
Great. I'll follow up on that.
And I think to your point, like, we do have to clearly communicate when we engage, like what expectations are, because some things are just gonna take forever. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm well acquainted with bus shelters and how long they take to get out there, but we do, when the opportunities are available to give quick wins, so they can see that their input directly had a cause and effect, we need to capitalize on whatever those may be, even if it's just the tiniest of changes that they've identified that would just make their experience better, we need to jump on it, so, yeah.
Any other comments, questions? Oh, Melissa, if I may recognize.
So our participation plan, as Charles mentioned, might be helpful for review. Haley is working on that. If you'd like us to send it to you, Charles, or just have that be a place of kind of thinking through things that might be helpful, or we're happy to share what we've got. We're in a process of updating ours right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, no other questions, moving on. Okay, Carter's gonna be in the movies. Big announcement. So we had an interesting opportunity to support the creative community. So a filmmaker named Stevie Ray Dollymore, who happened to be formerly the head of the Macaulay School Theater Program, is developing a project called The Bus Driver. And Mayor Kelly reached out to me, actually Stevie Ray reached out to Mayor Kelly, like, who can I talk to? And so Stevie Ray reached out to me and basically asked me about incorporating CARTA and our buses into his production. And so recently we invited Stevie Ray and his production team here on site. They've created a Kickstarter fundraising video. So they have created a video. It's for the purpose of generating revenue to actually produce the movie. And so they were here on site. I'm pleased to report the experience went exceptionally well. You can see some of the pictures here. So they're on one of our vehicles. They're starting to get the cast together. Stevie Ray in the bottom middle, that's me, and then Stevie Ray to my right. There, the guy on the left of me is the bus driver. He's the main lead in the movie. And so I want to extend a special thanks to our team members who dedicated their weekend. So this is an all-day Sunday event to support the effort, particularly Dwan Bush. And I don't think that Dwan is here today. One of our training and safety supervisors. He spent the entire Sunday with the team and the production crew. And we haven't seen the finished video yet. If you're on TikTok or Facebook or LinkedIn, there's some leaking pictures going around. But as soon as we get the Kickstart video, we'll share it with you. But we're looking forward to make it to Hollywood in this way. So just give you something a little lighthearted to think about.
Do you know how it ends?
I know. I've signed a NDA. I've
Okay,
seen
but
the script.
Okay.
I'm not allowed to disclose.
Okay, but
Yeah.
no one dies, so like a,
No, this is a happy romantic comedy.
oh,
Yeah,
great, thank
it's
you.
not,
Thank
it's
you.
not taxi driver.
Okay.
No, this is a good one.
Nice.
For us. Okay, and then finally, I'm excited to share that our leadership teams, this is both the executive leadership team and the management leadership team. We recently invested 2 half days of our time in an offsite strategy session, like we did last year, just for the team to focus on developing what will become a comprehensive 3-year strategy for our entire organization. I think as you're all aware, last year we faced, I was still brand new and we were facing a lot of challenges. I needed to get organized. And so the best way that I knew how to do that was bring the team together, get everything on the table. And what we had from that was our fiscal year 25 strategic imperatives, like things that had to get done. Similarly, we're going to produce something like that for the board, but allow me to show you kind of well, first of all, we were offsite, Bridge Innovate, had a facilitator, and the entire team, all of our managers and directors were there. But putting out on the table, what are the things that we know are coming, whether it's the 130-year anniversary or a maintenance project or different things, get those on the table. Also, what are the things that we need to bring to the board in terms of policies in preparing to make changes to the system in the next couple of years? And so what I want to let you know is this is a blank, but the goal is to bring you a 3-year improvement roadmap across our 3 lines of business: public transit, parking and downtown shuttle, and incline. And we want to lay that out for you in an organized fashion. We'll have more confidence in the things that are to happen in the next 12 months, but we're going to reevaluate every quarter and bring that to you and let you know what we're doing. This is what a kind of a finished product would look like, right? So we'll have on the left-hand side, policies, initiatives, shuttle network changes, transit network changes, incline improvements, and we're going to lay out for you what's going to happen in 26, in 27, and 28 across the 3 lines of business. We'll want to be very clear, and we'll bring you something to ask you to approve. This is the work plan for fiscal year 26 that's within the budget. But then also the last bullet on the right is, and what I've challenged our interim CFO to produce for us, is a 5-year cash flow analysis so that we all have an idea of what we need to navigate when we go to the city, when we go to the county next year, the year after that. And so we're working on that. So we plan to bring you for consideration. Here's the 3-year forecast, what we think. We want you to approve that concept. Then here's the cash flow analysis that goes with it, which should different than prior the last 2 years. That should give us some eyesight into what our budget requests will be for the city and the county. So happy to just pause here for a minute and get your feedback as we're working on this. We hope to bring this to you in a couple of phases, so in September and then in kind of a final document in October. But happy to take your feedback on the concept here.
Just as a comment, because I'm visual, also kind of for the Human Design Center. For me, it would be useful, because all of this is gonna improve our riders' experience. So I don't know if it's a rubric or something, but kind of to understand when we work in transit, how that translate to our community, like, are they gonna have to spend this time looking for parking? So like how we affect the quality of life of people, and then parking the same, because we all are working for that, you know, to have a better life for everyone here in Chattanooga, I guess, or like something along those lines, I hope. And then so like, even when we share this, it will be easier, like we're working to improve your life here. So, and when I think about rubric, it's like, what are the 3 things that we are looking out for? It's like reduce time in transportation, like even environmental things. So it's more like in a outcome, like long term, we're working in this like long term.
That's good feedback, and we'll also bring recommended key performance indicators that measure that. Right, so the key KPIs that we can keep ourselves accountable. For that, let me give you one example that's on my mind, because I did get some feedback from the board at our last executive committee about our employee engagement. So we're laying the groundwork for this year, for the first time under Janine McNulty's leadership. We did a employee engagement survey, right? We just polled the employees. How are you feeling about, CARTA? How are you feeling about your job? How are you feeling about the support you're getting? How are you feeling about everything? And so what we have from that, and we'll bring that to a public presentation, but what we have is, for the first time, a baseline of how folks are feeling in these areas of, being a CARTA family member. What we plan to bring, and I think this is what you're saying, is what's the goal of this from an an employee engagement point of view, and how are we going to measure the success of that? And so then we also want to be able to then take the survey again next year and be able to demonstrate or measure, were we successful in that goal, right? So we'll put some thought into that and bring the KPIs with a recommendation.
But not just for the drivers.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
Across every domain, safety, effectiveness,
Yeah.
efficiency, all of those, quality of life, parking utilization, there'll be KPIs across the board.
Yeah, because like the program with the library, I think the numbers are out of chart. So we are like, for me to think about the outcome there, you are kind of like the autonomy for teenagers to get to another city and just like move. And then here, we're taking people out of cars, they're moving, so it's like a health component to like someone that couldn't leave their house, now they're able to leave their house, and the social aspect of that. So it's like, it can be a lot, but also like, I don't know if we need to measure, but at least we need to talk about it.
Yeah, roger that. I might look for your thought leadership, partnership, and partner with you. I want to make sure I meet your expectations. So I just put a note, and if it's okay, I'd like to maybe follow up with you, Director Peterson, on as we're kind of preparing a presentation for the board. Maybe you can give me the critique that we need to make sure we're checking off those boxes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Danielle's comment is really insightful. It's always helpful to look at what you're doing in terms of the benefits to the end user. This applies in the educational context. Sometimes people forget students are the ultimate beneficiaries. If you can always keep that focus, it's great for us, helps keep us focused. Has other collateral benefits, like city council members will be able to cite benefits that CARTA is bringing to its constituents. So that's a great framework.
Roger that. Thank you for the feedback on that. Any other comments? Okay, I think that wraps it up for me.
Great. Thank you, Charles, and thank you to your team for all the hard work. And yeah, I think that last plan, with the roadmap just really, you all been able to build a foundation and now able to focus on future things is very important. I also want to thank you and team for the Tennessee Municipal League, all the help that y'all provided that Sunday. A lot of good comments and feedback from everybody, so they're thankful. There is a Tennessee Municipal League is all the mayors from across the state, city mayors. And so it was quite a big crowd, and I think Mayor Kelly is happy with.
Yeah, for the rest of the board, Mayor Kelly's office reached out to us, as Vice Chairman Freeman said. All of the Tennessee Municipal League, lots of mayors, and there were hundreds of people in town, and we were able to stand up a shuttle service between the hotel where folks were staying and the aquarium. In that short time frame, we transported over 600 folks and got the opportunity to show them CARTA, and it was an opportunity for the mayor just to be proud of our services. So thank you for that feedback.
Yeah, understood. All right, next we'll move on to the consent agenda. If no one has any questions.
I have a
or
comment.
comments on
I have a comment, I'm sorry.
Sure.
So board members, this is not typical. So we did not distribute the statistical report this month when we sent it out last week. So what I would ask is, before you consider accepting the consent agenda as presented, I would like to introduce you to our new Chief Innovation Officer, Daniel DeFore, and have him present to you. He's right here behind us. Come up here, Daniel. Have him present to you the statistical report. It's now in your packet. And so I want him to just walk through and give you some highlights there. So board members, this is our new Chief Innovation Officer, Mr. Daniel DeFore.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Love the energy. It's great to be here with you today. I recently started at CARTA. Before working for CARTA, I managed the performance management program for the city. And before that, I worked at NASA, USDA, and a number of other federal agencies. I'll be sharing with you some slides today for our statistical report. But before I begin, I wanted to share a few thoughts as we adjust our approach to the statistical report. You'll start to see more charts in the report. So if you like charts, this is for you. I mean, who doesn't like a good chart? We also want, and this is the most important point, we want the statistical report to be useful to you. Useful to you, you being everyone here. Please reach out to me if you want us to track any specific metrics or include additional information in this report. Okay, let's begin. Caravan has made remarkable improvements in its operational efficiency over the last year, and we see that in the data. Ridership has increased by a whole 37% from July 2024 to July 2025 to a high of 5,728. This is not only, and I'll just, this right here, 5,728. This is not only the highest amount of ridership since the pandemic, drum roll, but it's the highest ridership ever. Yes. But it's even more amazing than that. The really amazing thing is that CARTA has been able to do that, increase ridership, while reducing miles. And this is the miles that Caravan has driven month by month. And so you can see just a really big drop there in January. And between June and July, the really detail-oriented people will see there's a slight uptick. That is 0.1%. So we've been able to increase ridership a lot, and our miles are looking really good. So credit to Mark Hoyer and his team for all their hard work. So I'll pause now and take any questions. Did you want to say next? Okay. As you know, the incline reopened on July 14th. The incline is a big contributor to the overall system-wide numbers for ridership. So you saw our total system ridership shoot up between June and July, even though the incline was only open for half of that month. So on the far right of the chart, you see it just shoot up. And that's only with the incline being open half the month. So for the next month, we expect that number of total system ridership to go up even further. Any questions about this? Here's a chart of ridership for Route 15, which is the route that goes from Shuttle Park South near the Choo Choo to the incline and then to the Hot Chocolatier down on St. Elmo Avenue in West 56th. Since December of 2024, right there in the middle there, we've seen a sustained increase in ridership, and it doesn't look like it's slowing down. The data shows that investments to improving service on Route 15 have been rewarded with increased ridership, and we thank the community for their partnership as well. We'll continue to monitor this data and look out for any sort of cresting or slowing down in the acquisition of ridership. But as of today, it looks like we haven't come close to the ceiling on potential ridership. Any questions?
Thank you, Daniel.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, if that's your conclusion, before you
Oh.
step away, sorry. I just want to say, I've known Daniel for a number of years. We've collaborated on a lot of stuff. Obviously, you can already tell, smartest guy in the room. But true public servant through and through. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you like how dedicated he is to the city of Chattanooga. And before we brought him on, it was when I was thinking about who was going to join our ridership committee, number one pick right here. So I'm thankful that we kind of default got him in our ridership committee. But I just want to say thank you. And then also to echo his point, because I know he truly means it. If you have any feedback about the way you want to see things, send it over because he will do it. So thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
I'll just share a quick story. So I'm thankful for our entire staff and I feel blessed, like everybody that was here and supporting this effort needs commendation. But it's been a nice, to work with Daniel. And so I asked him yesterday, I was, hey, how you doing? He said, ask me at the end of the week. So, you know, it's quite a bit of a lift for us in preparing for the board meetings, and we want to meet your expectations. But what you can expect from us moving forward, and board, I want to thank you for supporting our budget development process, where you allowed and authorized a budget that prioritized having an IT resource at this level. So thank you for that support. And with that, Vice Chairman, I would turn it over then, and we can now, I would recommend that we go ahead and accept the consent agenda.
That sounds good. So you might have any comments on the executive committee minutes or the parking?
Hey, actually, sorry, I do have one thing that it's not going to be a Daniel question, but in looking at this briefly, May and June accidents are kind of up there. We don't have to get into like specifics or anything. I'm just curious if there was any correlation of why those kind of jumped up on the 3 and the 5 in May of June. Are we good? Did we address any concerns? Maybe a safety issue? I don't know.
Let me ask our Chief Safety Officer. Mark, did you hear the question? And
I kind of heard back that you said that you see.
come on up to the table, Mark, please.
Yeah. Sorry to make you get home.
Please.
Yeah, I was just in checking out, we have now some greater visibility into kind of the accidents that may have occurred, and May and June kind of shot up a little bit. I know accidents are accidents, but I'm just curious if there was any common thread or any resolution. And obviously in July, we just had the one, so they're back down. Obviously any accident is unfortunate, but just curious if there's any insight about kind of that uptick or how you may have addressed it or anything like that.
Well, year over year, they're quite similar, particularly May. June was a slight uptick, and we were able to deploy some interventions that you would see and next month's data that we was able to drive them back down. But we had a little bit of distraction in the month of June.
Gotcha.
There was a lot of activity, and with the increased activity, sometimes there's. We can't hear you in the back, I'm sorry. Oh, my apologies. My apologies. So the question was, what was the uptick in May and June? And I mentioned particularly June, there were some driver distraction. There was a lot of activity going on in the community. That accounted for some driver some driver distractions, some multitasking. And we was able to create some interventions to address that. And you're gonna see the difference in the statistical report next month.
Thank you. And I don't mean to call attention to negative stuff, but I know that when that happens, we address it. So that's what I want to call attention to. And I want to thank you for speaking to that. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have any comments? If not, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second. If there's nobody opposed, then let's approve. Next, we will move on to the action items and we'll get Mark back up.
Should have stayed.
Sorry, man.
Members, speak up.
Yes, there you go. Okay, great. Good morning, Vice Chairman Freeman, Mr. Frazier, my colleagues, rest of the board and the public. So I'm here to talk about what I feel is a very serious, very great topic, and that is our customer code of conduct. And what I would like to start with is basically, go ahead and go with my slides. Give you a summary of what our customer code of conduct is. And the best way we decided to try to express that is through who, what, why, when, and how. And so as you can see, when it comes to the who, it's basically that's me. I'm the chief safety officer, and I've been tasked with the responsibility with my colleagues and the approval of the ELT, and hopefully your approval to create this customer code of conduct. And Carter, this will be actually Carter's first. The what is actually Carter's first customer code of conduct policy. So this is actually an exciting step for Carter to have this in place. Why? As you can see in the bullet, assaults on public transit public transit employees have been increasing nationally. I want to make this absolutely clear that you understand that the year over year from 2008, there's been such a huge jump that it really was on the FTA's radar. So we had General Directive 24-1, where we got a lot of feedback from transit agencies, but I'll give you an example. In 2023, nationally, there were 2,200 major assaults on transit workers, which included injuries nationally. So here right now in Chattanooga, we could say that we have data that shows that the likelihood for a driver to be assaulted by a passenger is twice as high as a passenger being assaulted by another passenger. And the FTA defines public transit agencies or their employees as soft targets because they're so vulnerable by their exposure to the public. So that's why this is such an important item. And of course, this is also basically a standard, a best practice for most transit agencies. This is already something that's in place. So we're going to talk about the when. So this policy, hopefully with the approval of the board today, the next will be basically developing the guidelines, which we'll be developing that through October. And then, of course, we'll be working on developing a database through November and employee training through December. And with that said, how will it be run or how would it be administered? That would be definitely through myself and operations supervisors and the management team. And we just want to be clear, make this absolutely clear that our bus operators will not be in any way involved in any enforcement of this customer code of conduct. Okay, so I would like to bring your attention at this point to this, actually, I'll bring your attention to to your memos. You take a look at your memos just so we keep in line with our standard. Our recommended action is that, staff recommends that the board approve this customer code of conduct, which aligns with our strategic goals. So this initiative aligns with Carter's strategic imperatives of reducing safety incidents and improving the customer experience. Because we're still talking about fixing the foundation and as we continue to move forward. Summary of needs, approval of this item will formally establish a code of conduct for passengers as it relates to paying fees, boarding and riding vehicles. It further defines acceptable behavior and forbidden actions. Finally, the policy explains potential actions Carter may take for violators and establish a formal appeals process. And as an example, if we could go to the slide up here, if you look at the left, that right there is, I'm really looking at the left because you can see some of the bulleted, the highlighted items in red. That's also in your memo. I don't really want to go by them one by one, but you'll see categorically all the aspects that we are addressing from fair handling to safe boarding practices to forbidden behaviors and even the appeals process and the contact information for how customers have the opportunity to even report any activity that they may deem suspicious. So that gives an opportunity for the public to also be involved in our public safety. So that's an important aspect. So with that said, I really want to go on to what we would consider to be the next steps. These are different milestones that we look to achieve over the coming months. So at now present, we would like to get the board's approval, as I said, of the policy itself. And then we will be presenting to the board a completed draft implementation guideline, and the estimated time of completion is October. And then we're going to establish a tracking system. The estimated time of completion would be November 2025 for both these months. And of course, training of key personnel, and that training will be completed by the end of December. And once all these milestones or benchmarks are achieved, we will be all set to go live. However, there may be some incidences that happen prior to us reaching these milestones. And with this policy in place, we will also use that as a guideline to address anything that may happen prior to absolutely going live, because there's still going to be bad actors and there's still going to be things that need to be addressed. So we just have to be mindful of that. Okay, so I just want to move to the background, returning to the memo. Carter strives to provide safe, reliable, efficient, and effective transit service in order to clearly communicate expectations of passengers. This policy formally outlines fare requirements, safe boarding and riding procedures, and defines unacceptable behavior. Once adopted, the policy will allow Carter a temporary removal of violators from Carter's property and/or temporary suspended riding privileges. Fiscal impact, we're looking at about $2,500 for printed trifolds for all buses, interior graphic signs for each bus. So that's my summary of what our customer code of conduct is about and what we in the wraparound for as far as our future plans for complete implementation. Are there any questions?
I have one question. So can you speak to, what happens now if there's somebody that's, assaults a Carter employee, on the bus, are they able to get back on the bus a week later or so or something like that? Could you just speak to like what happens now without the policy?
Now without the policy.
Yeah.
Right now, our standard that we've been using is we actually go through an attorney. Particularly, BD Law Firm is the one that we've been using when it comes to something, to a major violation. And we would get get an injunction for a TRO, a temporary restraining order. That would last for up to a year, after which we'll have the opportunity to readdress the court and see if we could, whether we should let it expire or whether it should become a permanent injunction. So you're talking about those are serious infractions because they're criminal.
Yeah.
This is, once this is in place, this will address not just those major criminal infractions, but just create a standard that everybody can abide by.
Sure. Thank you.
So Mark, are they banned from riding? I mean, are there pictures posted? To be on the lookout, to allow this person to board the bus? Because I know we've done that in the past.
That's a very good question. And the suspensions and bans, anything of that nature, that there would be an assigned time frame if it's a suspension. If it's a ban can be up to a year, but it won't go beyond that. If it goes beyond that, that would be something that the courts handle because it'll be more of a criminal aspect. And as far as how we're gonna communicate who those people are, that's gonna be in one of our phases of implementation, because now we're talking about the database. So as that's being developed, we'll be able to give you a more clear idea of what that's gonna look like. But we do have some pretty good ideas that we're putting together as far as how we're gonna be able to communicate that out.
Okay, currently though, that we have, used to, they would be plaster their picture on the bulletin board, like in the driver's lounge down at Shuttle Park South, stuff like that, because probably some of those pictures are still up.
Yes, and that is the current practice. If you was to walk through, say, our driving room now, you'll see some pictures of people that have been banned. So there are a notification process now. We just plan to make it more organized and accessible.
Okay.
So we wanna improve what we have, build upon what we already have.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. So then a question and then, feedback.
Yes.
So, and there's a question. I understand that everything we're doing is like building up. So are we building up for a best case scenario? So when you started talking, I'm gonna read a little bit through, like we have the road supervisor, but they are not on the road. So I was thinking in the system in San Francisco, where you have people going into the buses, so they are like on street, checking if you pay or not pay, and I think helping also with the security. And then also thinking if you're kind of like building up for a best case scenario, and this is part of that building curve, it's again, in parks, we're introducing AI for some things, that reduce like time and kind of like, I mean, it brings another set of questions, but for some things like reach out to the police right away and kind of, so wonder if in transportation is a talk about including tools like AI to increase safety in drivers. So just thinking like, what is after, like, what would be in the future? What are we aspiring to? And then the feedback, I remember getting into the box for the first time. So if I see a lot of no, which I understand is safety, it kind of like make the space less welcoming. So like, can we also include and as sweet or funny, like a smile, like kind of things that you can do that are positive to you, like smile to the driver, or like say hi, like something more into kind of like these things that you can do here. And I don't know if it's like next to this or like something separate, but like it'd be nice to like kind of like ease, a little bit when you going, especially the first time.
Absolutely. Thank you for your question and for your feedback. Appreciate them both. And so as far as the question, just generally speaking, it is absolutely the idea that it will be built out. Even when you consider the budget that the board just recently approved, which was submitted by the ELT by Charles Frazier, where we asked for specifically more road supervision. So so that's part of, that's part of an aspect of building it out to be able to accommodate that aspect. Plus, we also plan on working with partnerships to help as far as building that out. Now, as far as the AI aspect or things related to cameras, those are some things that Daniel, our CIO, will be taken under consideration. And there's some things that we already spoke with Lieutenant Stover about regarding how those aspects might work. So as those are developed, we'll come back and represent all of that to the board. But the signage, that is a really, I really brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up because our CEO has been all very much on top of that because we're very clear about we want to be welcoming and we don't want to have all these prohibitions in how we present ourselves. And so we're definitely taking a deep dive into how to best present this so that it's inviting, that it's welcoming, because we are public servants after all. But thank you for that.
I'm on page 24 and 25. First, I want to say thank you so much for this sort of conduct. It's something that I think that is needed. We need for our riders to have information about acceptable things and unacceptable. But on page 25, there are just a lot of consequences. And I'm just wondering, I'm so glad you mentioned that our operators are going to be the ones responsible for enforcing. But I'm interested in who's going to keep up with the first offense, second offense, third offense, fourth offense, fifth offense. And then the sixth offense where it says 1 year ban, but I think you mean ban, but that's on all of those 5 offenses.
Yes, it should be banned.
I think we have like the next couple of pages is the draft implementation that might have some of those corrections. Am I right? Like,
That is correct.
so if you jump ahead to like 29, I think some implementation of, yeah.
That is correct. So, so as far as your question, the operators, as we said, the operators are not gonna be involved in enforcement to any degree. So that we want to be perfectly clear. Right now, we already have a notification process, and that notification process doesn't change. That notification process go all the way, is a part of our public transportation agency safety plan. And same process where if there's a disruption, there's a disturbance, there's anything that the operator, the conductor, they would reach out to their supervisor, to a dispatcher. So that process hasn't changed. So they won't be involved in any enforcement. That would be completely CARTA management from the supervisors to myself. And as far as you had mentioned, some of the language as in that draft implementation guideline, it's a draft. It's a draft. Some of it is pretty much not going to change. There's always room for modification, and we absolutely welcome your feedback. Our milestone or benchmark, the timeline we look to have that completely finished and hope perhaps presented to the board would be October. So with that said, any feedback, please, we're welcome and we're open to receiving any ideas that, because we want to improve this and make it work for everybody.
Yeah.
Please. Yes, please. If you don't mind, Karen, you can come up to the table. Yeah.
Good morning.
Morning.
I just wanted to say a little something about this code conduct policy that's being changed. And it's a good time for the change to take place. Because most of you don't know my name is Cynthia Sweets. And I am a retired bus operator. Here from Carter from Carter, worked for Carter for 30 years driving buses. And right now, I'm part-time working for the union here. But anyway, to get to the point, this code of conduct here, well, it really needs to be revised, it's being revised at the right time because, and I don't hope, I don't want to step on anybody's toes here, but the truth needs to be said. This conduct code or book, way it's written, like Mark said, you know, our operators are being assaulted out here on this bus. Now, right now, we have a man that's out in work. He got spit on out here on duty. And because of the way that this code of conduct book has been written, the company has terminated him. Because he actually reacted to this person spitting on him. If somebody spit on you, you react to them too. And because he was on duty, because this code of conduct book, the company enforced the code of conduct book, which said that because he, I guess, reflected and protected himself or whatever, they, you know, that's a part of the contract, you know, they had to contract him. But the thing about that is that, you know, when you're working and somebody does something to you, you just not gonna, you're gonna respond differently. You know what I'm saying? And because of his response, it cost us him his job. We have another lady that's down here right now on the shuttle bus. We have a person down there that's talking about doing the same thing to her. You know what I'm saying? And like Mark was saying, you know, this is the right time because the assaults on drivers are up high. They're up so high, the ways that people think that they can do what they want to do to these drivers and nothing is going to be done about it. So yeah, this book, this contract book code of conduct, it needs to be revived in order to protect our drivers. Because our drivers are having a hard time down here trying to decide on what I need to do because somebody has actually, you know, done something to me. Am I gonna be reprimanded because I'm protecting myself or how's this thing gonna play out? But this new code of conduct that's being implemented is gonna give them a little bit more room, you know, the company a little bit more room to where that they need to do to ban these people off the bus. And that's another thing. You know, you've got a host of new drivers over here and this coming in and out this door. Nobody's picture is posted up there. This same guy that was on this bus that had this shotgun, this 12-gauge shotgun, the one I drive, he's been riding the bus. So, you know, it has to be some kind of structured plan across the board where these new drivers or something in here, that they can be made aware of these people that's been banned off these buses. So they can call it in. They can say, hey, this person been banned out trying to ride the bus. The next bus, they're so smart out there. If I'm driving the bus and I won't let them get on, but they're gonna stand back and wait on the next bus. There has to be a better line of communication here, is what I'm saying, in order for this code of conduct to work together with the drivers out here, you know, because somewhere, you know, the communication is lost. You know, you got new drivers coming in, they don't know what's going on out here. Somebody need to bring them up to speed, you know what I'm saying? I don't know this person did this. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, I hope I'm not stepping on my toe, but I just want to make it real clear. You know, it's a good time for this to happen. Because your door, you know, it's just wide open, you got new drivers coming in, old drivers, you know. They're not on those routes where those people are riding. But these people out here, they know who's new and they know who's old out here. Or veteran drive. You get what I'm saying? And so, yeah, they're gonna step back. They don't wait on somebody new to come up because they don't know who they are. So, yeah, the pictures, if they can put those guys' pictures on that screen over there that they have in the driver's lounge over there, flash those pictures so those drivers can get those people's faces in their minds and then they would know, you know, who these people are and stuff. You know, that's all I'm gonna say.
And Cindy, thank you for your comments and for that perspective. And I think, you know, it is important and thank you, Mark and Charles for really working on this code of conduct. I know there's more things you need to do with the implementation to define how we're gonna address some of those, but the importance of protecting, you know, our employees and protecting the riders is number one. And so I think I commend you for that.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Appreciate the feedback. But with that, does the board members have any other questions or comments before moving forward?
Thank you for voicing the concern.
this is like under development, right? So
Yeah,
all of this is gonna take in consideration moving forward.
yes, this is completely under development. And I don't want to conflate. I mean, thank you for your comments, but I don't want to conflate the two. This is not a change or a revision. This is something this is the first customer code of conduct. And so we're not talking about the employee code of conduct, we're talking about a customer code of conduct, so I want to make sure we're not conflating the two. And this is absolutely new. And all those aspects are that's just proof positive that we're fixing the foundation and developing moving forward. So that's the importance to me, that reiterates the importance of having a customer code of conduct.
So with that, I'll ask for a motion for the board to approve establishing a policy that will then allow, Mark and team to go forward with establishing.
Make a motion that we approve.
Second. That's Stephen second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you very much, appreciate you.
And Vice Chair, if I may just make a comment, I want to just thank Cynthia. Miss Cynthia, thank you for your comments. I want to thank you. I've got to one of my first meetings that I had when you appointed me to the role was with Cynthia. And I actually have I have the notes here in my file from that meeting, and there's several pages long of all the things that we need to fix. But I just remind the board, and I want to thank you for being on this journey with us. Every transit agency in America has a publicly approved code of conduct for riders. They have performance standards for their services, which we don't have. So what we've inherited as a team, I want you to reiterate to you that we are organizing these things in a priority order, bringing them to you for consideration so that we can catch up on all the things that we should have had for all this time. But I just want to thank you, and I appreciate the passion from Cynthia, because this is what we live kind of every day. We're in the weeds and we see and hear these things, but thank you for helping get that information to the board as well in your way.
Great, thank you. Certainly. Thanks, Charles. Next we'll have the procurement report.
Good morning, Vice Chairman Freeman, Board of Directors, CARTA colleagues, Mr. Frazier, and the public. I'll be going over the procurement report for August. It can be found on page 34 of your packet. This month, I'm bringing reports for sections B, C, and D, which are board approval of the use of the RFP process, report on sole source procurements, and report on emergency procurements. For section B, staff is requesting approval for the use of the request for proposals process for the following procurements. The current scope of work for these procurements requires that evaluation criteria other than price be considered when awarding contracts for these services. Temporary employment services, a multi-year agreement for brush removal at the Incline Railway, and purchase of bus shelters. For the next section, section C, there are 3 sole source procurements to report on. The first is for an applicant tracking system for use by CARTA's Human Resources Department. Estimated cost for an initial 3-year period is approximately $37,000. CARTA is currently in the process of updating its accounting, payroll, and human resources software to Oracle NetSuite for Government. The ATS 360 system proposed by NetDynamic is the only ATS that NetSuite has confirmed has native ability to integrate with NetSuite for Government, which ensures a consistent deployment and quick turnaround time, which is estimated at 4 to 6 weeks once NetSuite itself has been deployed. Other standalone ATS systems may integrate with NetSuite, but haven't been deployed to date, adding risk that features wouldn't carry over well, and there would be additional costs for deployment. For those reasons, CARTA is utilizing a sole source agreement for this purchase. Once completed, it will integrate into CARTA's HR/payroll system and NetSuite, creating a seamless integration of data, which will streamline processes and eliminate manual entry of new hire information. The second sole source procurement is for the purchase of high performance lead acid batteries that have reached the end of their useful life. These will be purchased through EMS at a cost of $93,520. Currently, buses 720 and 721 are not available for regular service because their batteries are failing. The only other alternative would be to purchase new vehicles, which are between $350,000 and $550,000. Carta has an extensive history of purchasing these batteries. At one time, Carta purchased these batteries from 2 vendors. Over a period of 10 to 15 years, Carta discovered that the batteries purchased from EMS would last approximately twice as many power cycles as the other vendor and had fewer issues with individual battery cells. The purchase of these batteries will allow these vehicles to be utilized in service for the next 3 to 4 years as Carta is preparing to replace its electric shuttle vehicles. And then the third source procurement is for Clever Devices across 4 different products, and you can see them on the slide there if that's easier. Clever Devices currently provides Carta with its intelligent transportation system, hardware and software. The first 2 items for hardware and software maintenance and database services are similar in price to previous years and will be required for continued support of the onboard vehicle hardware and 8 software products that assist and real-time management of the fixed route and shuttle bus fleets. Associated costs are approximately $163,000 and $50,000 respectively. The third item, the CleverWorks product, will assist in the integration between the scheduling software, which is a different vendor, and the onboard real-time information system. The cost of approximately $22,000 is for professional services to implement software on Carta servers and train planning staff so that any schedule anomalies between the 2 software products can be corrected ahead of new scheduled deployments to Carta vehicles. And then the final product is CAD Mobile. The cost is approximately $88,000, and it's for professional services to implement 5 CAD Mobile licenses and training for use by Carta supervisors. This will allow road supervisors to have access to computer-aided dispatch functionality while off-site. Carta requires purchases of these items through a sole source procurement, as deploying a new system would be more expensive than the renewal and additional deployment fees for the year. Initial deployment costs were approximately $3 million. Carta will be investigating alternatives through its Innovation and Technology Department. Finally, I'll report on 2 emergency procurements. The first is for network engineering, server management, and cybersecurity services for a not to exceed amount of $45,000 over a 3-month period. This will be for an average of 30 hours per week and an hourly rate of $125 an hour. Carta requires these services in an emergent capacity while hiring for the Director of Innovation and Technology. The recommended firm is Peridix Technology Advisors. The second emergency procurement, which Mr. Frazier spoke to earlier, is an independent contractor agreement with Matthew Higgins, Director of the Incline Railway. Matthew will be retiring, but is available on a temporary basis to assist in the transition and to manage administrative tasks such as project management. This agreement will have a 30-hour maximum work week unless approved by the CEO at a cost of $55 per hour. This agreement is not intended to exceed $100,000 over a 3-year period, and the CEO will provide an annual report to the Board of Directors. To summarize, staff is recommending that the board approve Carta for the use of the RFP process for work outlined in Section B. Section C and D are for informational reporting purposes. That concludes my report, but if there are any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Question on C2 on the replacement batteries for electric shuttles.
Mhm.
Say lead acid.
That's correct.
Sam, does we still use lead acid?
Yes, sir. Oh, 3/5/2021 are the last ones left.
Okay.
The reason the batteries are so expensive for 20 and 21 is because these are more powerful drive system.
Right.
That's in the ABS bus that's made in California instead of, the E-bus that was made in California. And these are the buses that we inherited from the Emory University in Atlanta, which they originally came with a red NiCad cell in them. And to replace those cells, we added 2 smaller battery packs along with 2 big ones. And they do quite well set up that way. The first sets that we bought after we made the conversion, the battery has a 2.5-year lifespan, and due to our rigorous maintenance, they lasted almost 4 years. So like about that half, run it 4 years. When they were done, they were done.
Yeah.
There was no grass back.
Yeah, I knew back in the day, we, had Optima batteries out of them, and then they've had, different types of years. I was shocked when I saw that in the report, that said lead acid
Yeah, there's
I
still,
thought something like that would be obsolete.
we're still running two of the original S buses that we bought from Sacramento back in the day. That are lead acid, but they're at the end of their life.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
Is there any other questions?
I just had one question about kind of the RFP on the bus shelter part, like, cause I know you talked about getting feedback on the designs, the RFP just to like secure like a vendor first, or like what, just kind of the process.
I think kind of just the general process would be, just because we have to get approval from the board to entertain using the RFP process, we'll probably communicate with your group and planning as we develop the RFP. So there's still a piece that will have to happen before we put it out, for the request for proposal process.
If I may, I just want to give a little flavor to that. So last year, when we were audited, did a procurement audit from the city, what they identified was we weren't following city code. In other words, staff was making a decision, I'm gonna use the RFP process instead of the least expensive process. We were making that decision internally without coming to the board. The proper methodology for that is come to the board before we decide we're gonna purchase something. We tell you, we'd like to use the request for proposal process because we think that just getting the least expensive is not gonna get what we want to ultimately in a product in terms of quality or anything like that. So no RFPs developed, no designs have been implemented. We're just asking you ahead of time, hey, as we start to think about, we're gonna purchase some things, we wanna know in advance if you authorize us to use a scoring method so that we can get what we need.
Perfect, thank you.
Only other question is on D2. How many bullets do you have on your sheet?
Is this in the,
Got D2, report on emergency procurements.
I have two.
Okay.
How many do you have?
I've got two, but
Uh-huh.
that last sentence that you read, it's not on the sheet.
Oh, that's correct.
Okay.
I can update them.
Okay.
Is this about the $100,000 threshold?
Yeah, there's nothing mentioned in here on this.
The budget, so yes, we can add that. During the budget process annually, for all of our planning services contracts, we'll need to bring to the board the budget approval. Contract doesn't have to come back to the board, but the budget process, so when we bring forward the budget, we'll include all the line items, ask you to approve that. The contract mechanism is the same. That make sense?
Yeah, I just wonder why, I could hear it coming out, but I wasn't reading it.
Okay, so yeah, I understand, and
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, we'll make sure. So does everyone understand what that is? The board, my statement of clarification is the board you can approve contracts, the terms and conditions, and then the budget is a separate approval process for the board. So we've done the maximum that we're allowed to do for this contract. When the budget comes up,
That's fine.
we'll refurbish the budget, contract stays in place.
I just like to read it.
I understand.
Okay.
Yep, thank you, Annie.
Are there any other questions, thanks? If not, I would like to, ask for a motion to approve the procurement.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank
All
you,
in
Annie.
favor?
Thank you. Aye.
Motion approved. Thanks, Andy.
Yeah, thank you.
Next is our financial report.
morning.
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 Thank you for the opportunity to discuss the operating results for fiscal year 2025. I'm pleased to present these results to you. I'd like to begin by saying that these results are preliminary. They're subject to audit. And while we do expect adjustments as a result of the audit, I believe these results accurately reflect the operating results of the organization. So while the accountants may have some esoteric adjustments that we accountants like to do, I believe these accurately reflect what actually happened in terms of the operations of the organization. Overall, the results are quite favorable in light of the fact that the incline was closed for 6 months. And we're still pretty close to in line
you look at the bottom right-hand corner, you see the variances of the organization as a, in total against the budget. We were $1 million under budget on revenue, which is very good considering the incline was closed. The loss of the incline revenue is offset in part by greater than expected grant revenue due to the ARPA funding being closed out. But overall, we were fairly close to our budgeted revenue for the year. Expenses for the year were almost right on budget. We were $300,000 favorable against the budget for the year on expenses. That includes a couple of different things. First, we have cost savings in part due to the incline being closed for a period of time, and then just other cost savings against the budget. And that's offset in part by some of the incline cost of repairs, which had not been reimbursed yet under the insurance policy. So all in all, on a consolidated basis, in light of the incline closure, very pleased with how the results turned out. Now I'll turn to transit, which is the top section here. Transit, we were $200,000 under budget for the year on revenue. And that was primarily due to volume and fare collections. And on the expense line, we were quite favorable, $1.2 million favorable on the expense line. That's due primarily to personnel cost and other costs. Some of that's a little misleading. It's due not so much to savings, but due to allocations of costs between the fixed route and other areas such as shuttle. So, but overall, fixed route, we come out favorable by $1 million for the year versus budget. Parking and shuttle, the big theme there is that revenues exceeded budget by $1.2 million, which is very favorable. That's due to volume and greater than expected parking volume. Expenses were pretty much right on budget. They were off by $300,000, and that's due to the cost of meters and other related parking management costs. We talked about the incline. Revenues are off because the incline was closed. Expenses were $500,000 over budget. That's the repair costs that were incurred that we had not been reimbursed yet from the insurance company. As Mr. Frazier mentioned, the insurance claim has been submitted. That includes $1.3 million for third-party costs incurred for repairs, of which approximately $900,000 has been collected from the insurance company already. They were kind enough to do a prepayment. So we have an additional $400,000 to collect on the third-party cost of repairs. In addition to that, we have business interruption insurance, and we submitted a claim for that as well. That's an additional $2.8 million. However, that's subject to some negotiation, and because it's not entirely clear cut how that is calculated. So the insurance company is going to take a position on that versus our position, and we'll work out what that ends up being. All in all, we expect to collect an additional approximately $2.5 million on the insurance claim after what we've already collected. Caravan results, the expenses were right on budget. Revenues were $1.5 million higher than budget. That was due to primarily the ARPA funds we received for grants. So that's the big difference there. Overall, CARTA had a really good year from a financial perspective, managing the closure of the incline and managing expenses following the closure of the incline. So we're quite pleased with the total results in light of the headwinds that we face with the incline issue. With the incline open again, we feel like we'll be able to move forward there, and so we won't have that headwind anymore. Any questions on any of that? All right. If not, I'll take a few minutes to talk a little bit about the finance transformation and the systems project that we have ongoing. As you know, we've been implementing new financial, payroll, and time tracking systems. I'm pleased to report that we're running parallel on the financial systems now. Both systems are operating, and we will cut over to the new financial system as our primary source on September 1. But the staff have been trained, they're using the new system, and that is going well. So we're pleased with where we are there. Payroll, we are testing this week to see if the last payroll run, which was parallel in both systems, to see if the results of the new system are good or not. If they are, we will turn off the old system and all future payrolls will be on the new system. It remains to be seen where we'll be on that. I'd say it's 50-50 whether we turn it off this pay period or we turn it off next pay period. But we've made great strides on that, so I feel like we're moving in a good direction. So by the beginning of September, we'll be live on both systems, and those will be our systems going forward. This will create significant benefits for the finance organization. We'll be able to produce and act on departmental actual versus budget reports. We'll be able to timely report the results of payroll and hours that will allow us to better manage those things and manage the cost. We'll be able to improve our working capital management and better manage the procurement and spending process and look at our spend at a more granular level. We'll also be automating and digitizing the approval process for disbursements. And all of this together basically positions the finance organization to be a better partner to the organization as we look to first improve our operating results and our operating activities, but more importantly, participate in the transformation of CARTA as we move into the future. CARTA's got a lot of projects that have to be executed in order for us to move to where we want to be on our roadmap. And this puts finance in a position to better do that. So I'm excited about all of those things. The system changes are important, but without process changes, you can't do much with systems. So in addition to the system changes, we're working on improving our processes and getting those redesigned so that we'll be able to better leverage the new technology that we have. That will be an ongoing process, and the systems also will be an ongoing process. We basically will have the basics in place in September, but over the next year to 2 years, we'll be adding on new elements that will allow us to leverage that new technology and automate what we have and what we do. So to summarize, 2025 closed out well despite the incline closure, and we're positioned to leverage this new technology and be a better partner to the organization and help the organization move forward at a rapid pace going forward. I'm glad to take any questions that anyone may have.
Want to have any questions, comments?
Just a quick comment. Thank you to the entire organization for the positive results and to you personally for the clarity of those results and what you're doing moving forward. So
well, thank you. It's been a pleasure working with the group.
Thank you, Sam.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. And I'd like to call for a motion to approve the preliminary operating budget results.
motion approved.
Got a motion and a second. If there's no objections, then that motion passes. Next step, do you have any new business? Okay. Is there any old business? The new is the same as the old. With that, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you all.